Okay, let's see the Feca changes. So they redid the whole spell kit. So for protection spells, you have a new passive. As long as the Feca is within their elemental glyph, they gain resistance in the element of the glyph. This bonus cannot be dissipated. 25% resistance. Wow. This state can be transferred to an ally via reinforced protection or Feca shield, and also makes the target ally immune to glyph's negative effects. Okay, that's pretty cool to be honest. I thought they'd remove the negative effects to all allies by default, but that's something we can work with. This is going to be really nice for PvP. And the fact that you have to actually target, like, give shields to specific people to make things a bit more strategic is pretty cool. Values lowered on Rampart. Okay, I guess this is because there's going to be more shields from the passive. Backup, max range, +1, that's always nice. Fortification nerf. But you can give fortification to allies, that's cool. We already had that in, I think, the class ring, or maybe another item, but we had the mechanic before. Teleglyph has been changed. The spell can trigger variant glyphs to deal damage again by casting on enemies inside them. So variant glyphs, I guess they mean the glyph auras, by casting on enemies inside them. So if you cast a teleglyph on a target that already received a glyph aura, then that deals the damage again. Okay, interesting. So it's like 2 casts per turn for a glyph aura, I guess. But then you lose your teleglyph cooldown, so I don't see why you would do that. Barricade and Bastion are stackable. That's crazy, like if full immunity. Triggering from ranged damage suffered no longer applies its effects if the target also affected by Bastion. Yeah, so basically there's no like secondary effect if both Barricade and Bastion are applied. No problem. On a free cell, you summon the Barricade. Same thing for Bastion. 30% of the summoner's base HP. Okay, so you can summon your invulnerability with very low HP. I wonder how that works with the cooldown. Can you just like summon a bunch of immunities and keep them for later? Excursion Glyph, you can do it on yourself now. I don't see why. Repulsion Glyph increases the targeted ally's lock for each adjacent enemy. Alright, why not? Lock bonus is very small, so won't really change anything. But that probably means they didn't change the repulsion glyph damage, which is good. Truce places a glyph aura that applies the pacifist state. It's an AoE and it has a CD of 4. This is so nice. This is exactly what I asked for in the previous video where I gave suggestions, like to give the pacifist state to increase the debuffer roll. This is really nice, but that means we don't have a truce anymore where you reduce the damage taken by everyone on the map. So that's a nerf for Proto, that's a nerf for Solar, but I think that's worth it. You can give Pacifist anyways to people, so you can still reduce their damage. So you can still give Pacifist to Solar, for example. So it's actually not a nerf. I wonder if it gives the Pacifist to yourself as well. Barrier works differently now. Applies the gravity state to the target. Places a glyph that inflicts damage on enemies. Okay, so the gravity state is applied right away. The glyph can only be triggered once per enemy per turn, and the gravity state is removed if the target crosses through it. Once per enemy per turn? Does that mean you can place it on different people? Minimum range is 0, so you can do it on yourself. Oh, so you do it on yourself? Actually, you can do that on an ally, and then it creates a barrier around you, and anyone who crosses it gets damaged. So that's why they say only one enemy per turn. That's actually really nice. Okay, the damage is nerfed, not too bad, and there's one more turn cooldown. It's a good balancing, because there's more people you can trap. Ataraxia, max range 4. I think this is a mistake, 2 to 4. I think it's supposed to be 3 to 4. Modifiable range, yes. Whoa, you can Ataraxia from like super far away. You can do it 3 times per turn. That's kind of crazy. But you can only do it once per target, so like you can't do it on yourself, lose it during your turn, and then place it again. Small nerf, because you can't do it on yourself more than once, but it's a big buff overall. Gravitational Glyph now lasts only one turn, but has a slower cooldown. Not sure how I feel about that. That's a pretty big nerf actually, only one turn. Reinforced Protection increases the power of glyphs and applies the Shepherd's Star state on the targeted ally, triggers all of the caster's glyph auras. All of the caster's glyph auras? So it gives 400 power. I think it used to be like 200. It lasts 2 turns cannot be debuffed, triggers glyphs. So like that's like the new teleglyph, I guess. You can do it from 0 to 4 range. So the fact you can do it on another cell, I guess that means the cell you target is where the glyphs get triggered. So you can only target an ally, and that ally gets the Shepherd's Star, and that's where you get your 25% res. Okay, that makes sense. That's really cool that now you can actually play the spell. It's not just like a disable all protection spells. Pavis changed. In an empty space, it summons multiple Pavises in an area of effect, kind of like that hammer mob. These shields are destroyed on the caster's next turn. Area of effect 1 cell perpendicular line. On a target, it summons multiple Pavises adjacent to the target that are destroyed at the start of its turn or when it dies. So that's kind of like the panda spell with all the bamboos, but smaller. Oh, the Pavises are no longer invulnerable at long range, but they have a higher HP. I think this is kind of a nerf actually. Just the fact that it's not invulnerable. Still costs 3 AP, one more max range, so that's better for Excursion Glyph. It's straight line casting only, that's another nerf. 2 turn cooldown, okay, another nerf. Feca Shield is now the variant of Reinforced Protection. That means you can now play Inertia with Feca Shield. Nice. Also means you can play Ataraxia with Reinforced Protection. That's pretty cool. So Feca Shield is nerfed. So instead of being 65%, it's now 75%. But now Feca Shield applies the Shepherd's Star state to the ally. So not only through Reinforced Protection. Okay, so that's why they're variants, because you can either place the passive through Feca Shield or Reinforced Protection. Aegis, the Sanctuary now moves at the same time as the Aegis. What's the Sanctuary? On a target, places the Sanctuary under the target. The Feca intercepts damage suffered by their allies in the Sanctuary. Aegis HP nerfed, not that much, so it's fine. A buff in resistances, that's actually a buff overall. Damage interception no longer affects Barricade or Bastion. So basically you place a Sanctuary under a target, and then the Feca intercepts damage suffered by their allies in the Sanctuary. So it's like a sacrifice. So the Feca takes the damage. This is pretty confusing actually, I'll have to test that in beta. Inertia has been removed, so I guess this is because they're adding Shepherd's Lantern, which is a new summon. Summoned by variant elemental glyphs. Okay, so like Fulminating Glyph, Protective Glyph. When summoned at the start of each of the Feca's turns, and whenever moved, reveals invisible entities in a 2-cell circle around it. If the caster's lantern is still alive when summoned again, the old one is killed to make room for the new one, okay? It has pretty low HP, but it's a static summon, so it doesn't count as a summon. Okay, so it's basically just a spell to reveal invisible. It's pretty cool. Okay, so the Fire Path. Natural attack does not steal intelligence anymore, it only applies an intelligence penalty. That's fair enough. The max range is reduced, not sure why. Oh, because it's modifiable range. Okay, that makes sense. Can only stack once. For minus 200 intelligence, that's fair enough. Although I think like a fixed damage reduction would have been better. The damage is increased, that's pretty cool. Lethargy now only removes 2 MP instead of 3, but costs 3 AP. That's nice. And it's also modifiable range, so MP reduction can probably be done at a distance. I wonder how the glyph works now. Okay, so next up we have Lifelessness, which no longer steals intelligence, but now reduces MP as well. So like, for now that's 2 MP reduction spells. You used to have only 1, except for the glyph. Let's see what happened with the glyph as well. So the penalty no longer affects the caster. That's really awesome. I hope they did the same for the other glyphs. Casting conditions from 1 to 0, so now you can do it on yourself. So I think it's pretty much the same glyph, just have to see in game if they changed the range or not. So next up we have Natural Attraction. So the distance of attraction is increased to 3 cells. Okay, interesting. The range is the same at level 200. Critical hits reduced, no one really cares. So Natural Attraction is a 3-cell pull. Lateral Flame gets 1 more range. Is modifiable range, that's actually crazy. More crits, but 2 times per turn. No one really used it 3 times, so that's fine. That looks like an overall buff for Lateral Flame, which is really good. So Perception Glyph, now if you cast it on a free cell, it summons the lantern. If you do it on an enemy, then it's like before, places the glyph under the caster. If you do it on an ally, places the glyph under the ally. Okay. Minimum range is 0, so you can do it on yourself. You don't need the target anymore, obviously, so you can target a free cell. So it's like before, increases range, but now at least the spells are modifiable range, so it's actually consistent. So moving on to agility. So like with natural attack, Typhoon, instead of stealing stats, is going to just remove them. Doesn't affect allies, that's great, because like I remember having like always having an ally on the other side of the enemy and like always hitting them and removing their stats. But now if it doesn't affect ally, that's really good. It's a big buff. It goes to 4 range, that's also really good. And it only stacks once. That makes sense because the agility removal is minus 180, which is pretty high. Okay, so swelling is changed completely. Now we have a new spell that pushes one cell, costs 3 AP, 6 range max. Doesn't require a line of sight. You can do it 2 times per turn. The damage seems pretty low though. Okay, so it's an AoE. Inflicts air damage on enemies and pushes targets back from the center in an area of effect. It's pretty cool. So like you target a certain cell and then all around that cell enemies get pushed, I guess. Looks pretty nice. And they reuse the logo for inertia. Oh wow, looks like maneuver is now an agility spell. Let's go back to Gust first. Gust 2 AP, wow, nice. 5 max range. Pretty high damage for 2 AP. That's like a way better leak buy. Okay, that's a huge buff. Shiver now pulls 2 cells instead of 1. 4 max range, used to be 3. Okay, just buffs for now, that's pretty cool. Like every element is getting better spells. Maneuver inflicts air damage and then switches places with the target. Wow, this is really nice. But it costs 4 AP. No cooldown, that's awesome. And once per turn. Wow, okay. This is crazy. I wonder if there's gonna be like a class item that makes it usable more than once per turn. So aggressive glyph does not affect the caster. This is so nice. I can now play it and not like nerf my own damage. Okay, it doesn't attract towards the center. Not sure why. You can cast it on yourself. I mean, that's fine. I'm not complaining. Doesn't affect the caster. It does affect allies, but then you have a passive to remove it from allies, which is it's fine. Fulminating glyph. What happened to it? If you do it on a free cell, it summons the lantern. So like all the glyph auras summon the lantern, I guess, if you do them on a free cell. Close combat damage bonus lowered to 15%, that's fine. We'll take that. Oh, it doesn't need to be straight line anymore. This is awesome. Can't complain really. It looks like they're just improving the class and making it more balanced. Like they did nerf some protection spells, but overall the spells are looking great. Let's see what they did to the water path. So cloudy attack changed. Obviously doesn't steal stats. Doesn't do damage on allies, but like what's the point of even of doing it on an ally? Oh, okay, so now it's an AoE. You aim on one cell and it does like an AoE in a one cell cross, 3 AP. You can do it on yourself. So like this chance meant to be able to be played melee. That's pretty cool. 2 times per turn, that's fine. Max range is nerfed by 1. Basically just an AoE spell you can cast at a distance. Looks like a buff as well. Even though the range is nerfed but only by 1, that's fine. Stormy attack. No longer affects allies. Great. Okay, doesn't reduce critical chance. What does it do now? Removes range. It's like bubble also removes range. So we have 2 spells to remove range. The path is more aligned with its role. So the max range didn't change. It's only 6. But it's modifiable range. Awesome. I wonder if they moved variants around. I hope so. It's still an AoE spell, but instead of a one cell cross, it's a one cell square. So it's pretty big actually. It requires a line of sight this time. Fair enough, can't complain. So the range penalty is reduced on bubble. That's fine, because we have another spell to remove range as well. Minimum range from 4 to 1, so you can actually play water in melee. I think this is great. Sudden shower. Okay, so they changed tension for AP. Nice. Okay, this is amazing. Tension for AP without class boots. Amazing. This is just like basic stuff, but we needed that really badly. Get away. Formerly inertia. So how it works is now a water spell. Moves the caster away from the target and inflicts water damage on enemies. Can I do it in melee? Yes, I can. So basically, you can unlock yourself for 3 AP while hitting. This is just amazing. It's like an Ica flip, I forgot the name of the spell, but their intelligence spell to push themselves back. It's modifiable range. This is just amazing. Really, like, looks like the class is going to be fun to play. Okay, so Paralyzing Glyph is now called Valley, a bit like the other glyphs, doesn't affect the caster, and removes range. Nothing to say really. Roaming Glyph, again, summons the Lantern. Instead of being a 1-cell cross, it's now 1-cell square, so it's bigger. Did they change the bonus instead of dodge? No, it still increases dodge. I think they should find another bonus instead of dodge. But yeah, it's still a better spell than before. Okay, so the Earth Path. Backlash, did they nerf damage? I don't think so. That's fine. Tetany is now... Oh no, we lost neutral spells. So Blindness as well now is only Earth. It's not neutral anymore. Rip. Okay, but for Tetany, you can now do diagonal casting, so it's like a square instead of 1-cell. Well, it's 1-cell, but like not only linear, but also diagonal. That's pretty cool. So you can play Earth as a distance. Drowsiness, well that's blindness. They increase the range, that's cool. And increase the damage, that's fine. Dazzling, oh what did they do? The variant of Lethargy. The variant of Lethargy, that means you can play Lethargy with Lifelessness. And that means you can play Dazzling with Drowsiness. Well, Blindness. The damage is nerfed a bit on Dazzling, but that's fine. Torpor doesn't steal dodge. What does it do? It attracts 2 cells. Amazing. So now instead of 2 cells attraction on natural attraction, we now have it on Torpor. And we have a 3-cell attraction on natural attraction. So we can now pull 2 or 3 cells depending. So we have more options if we want to pull an odd number or an even number. Dirt Floor, formerly Blinding Glyph. Nothing to say really. So it doesn't remove AP from yourself anymore. Really great. So now if you're playing AP reduction, you can actually take that glyph out and not be afraid of people pushing you in your own glyph or taking your spot. So for protective glyph, the damage reduction bonus is lowered to 15%. That's a pretty big nerf. But then again, like the class is just getting better overall. You can't ask for too much. It has to be somewhat balanced. Okay, so that looks like this is all the Feca changes we have. I still have yet to play it on beta, but keep in mind everything can still change because this is just a beta. But overall, like I'm really satisfied just with reading this. I still wonder like what happened to Teleglyph, if anything else changed. Maybe like some stuff changed and they didn't tell us in the changelog. But overall, it looks amazing to be honest. Like playing around glyphs is gonna be better. I still think it's not perfect, but it's like way better than before. It's looking good, I can't lie. So now we just have to wait and see if anything else changes during the beta. But yeah, I'm pretty satisfied. I was a bit scared that they'd break the class, like make it really bad. But this is really fine. Like I'm actually liking what I see. I just hope they don't like nerf everything afterwards, like after a few days or a few weeks. So anyways, that's it for me reacting to the changelog. I'll probably make a video with like all the changes that happened in this update later when the update comes out. But for now, that's it. See you guys later.